You know what's crazy? Your face is literally a password now. Think about it, you just glance at your phone and boom, it unlocks. No buttons, no codes, nothing. But here's the wild part. Face ID doesn't actually see your face the way you see it in the mirror. It's doing something way more sophisticated, something that involves invisible light, 30,000 dots, and a map of your face that's more detailed than anything you've ever seen in a photo. So how does a piece of glass and metal recognize you out of billions of people on this planet? And more importantly, can it be fooled? Let's dive deep under the hood. Section 1. The magic you can't see. Alright, first things first. When you look at your iPhone and it unlocks, you're not seeing what's actually happening because Face ID doesn't use the regular camera you take selfies with. Nope, it uses something way cooler infrared technology. Here's the thing. There's a tiny projector hidden in that notch at the top of your iPhone. Apple calls it the dot projector. And this little beast shoots out over 30,000 invisible infrared dots onto your face. Yeah, 30,000. You can't see them because they're infrared. But if you could, your face would look like it's covered in a grid of tiny stars. Now, why dots? Because these dots create a 3D map of your face. They bounce off the curves of your nose, the depth of your eyes, the structure of your cheekbones, everything. And here's where it gets insane. The infrared camera captures this pattern, and your phone basically creates a mathematical model of your face. Not a photo, a depth map, a 3D sculpture made of data. This is why Face ID works in complete darkness. Remember when Touch ID needed light to see your fingerprint? Face ID doesn't care. Dark room? No problem. The infrared projector floods your face with invisible light, and the system reads it like a book. But wait, there's more happening at the same time. Section 2. The neural engine, your phone's brain. So you've got 30,000 dots mapped on your face. Cool. But how does your phone know that's your face and not your twin brother, or a photo of you, or even a super realistic mask? This is where Apple's neural engine comes in. And trust me, this is where things get sci-fi level crazy. The neural engine is basically a mini AI brain inside your phone. It's a chip specifically designed for machine learning. When Face ID was first introduced in 2017 with the iPhone X, Apple trained this neural network with over 1 billion images of faces. Not real faces that would be creepy, but mathematically generated faces showing every possible variation. Different ages, ethnicities, hairstyles, glasses, hats, beards, makeup, you name it. So when your phone scans your face, it's not just matching dots. It's running your face through this neural network that understands what a real human face looks like versus a fake one. It checks for depth, for micro movements, for the way light reflects off skin versus paper or silicone. And here's a mind-blowing stat. This entire process, the dot projection, the scan, the neural analysis, the decision to unlock happens in less than a second. We're talking milliseconds. Your phone is doing more computational work in that glance than a computer from the 1990 seconds could do in a week. But let's address the elephant in the room. Can it be fooled? Section 3. The security. Can you hack it? Okay, so you've probably seen those videos online. Someone tries to unlock their friend's phone with a photo. Doesn't work. Someone tries with a video of the person. Nope. Someone even prints a 3D mask, and most of the time, still doesn't work. Apple claims Face ID has a 1-inch, 1 million chance of being fooled by a random person. Compare that to Touch ID, which was 1-inch, 50,000. That's 20 times more secure. But here's where it gets interesting. In 2017, a Vietnamese security firm called Bicov actually managed to fool Face ID, but the process was insane. They created a hyper-realistic mask made of 3D printed plastic, silicone, makeup, and 2D printed paper cutouts for certain features. It cost them over $150 and required detailed measurements of the target's face. So, yeah, technically possible, but not exactly something a random thief can pull off. And there's another catch. Identical twins. Apple openly admits that Face ID can struggle with identical twins. The facial structures are just too similar for the system to reliably tell them apart. Same with children under 13, their faces are still developing, so Face ID might not be as accurate. But here's what Apple did to make it even more secure: attention awareness. Face ID won't unlock unless you're actually looking at your phone with your eyes open. So someone can't unlock your phone while you're sleeping. They can't just point it at your face while you're distracted. You have to be actively looking at it. And all that face data, it never leaves your phone. It's stored in something called the Secure Enclave, a separate encrypted chip that not even Apple can access. Your face map doesn't get uploaded to the cloud, doesn't get shared with apps, unless you allow it, and can't be extracted even if someone hacks your phone. Pretty solid, right? Section 4. The evolution. It's getting smarter. Now here's something most people don't realize. Face ID learns. Not in a creepy "it's watching you" way, but in a practical way. Let's say you grow a beard, or you start wearing glasses, or you get a new hairstyle. Face ID adapts. Every time you successfully unlock your phone, it updates its mathematical model of your face slightly, so it's constantly evolving with you. This is machine learning in action. The system recognizes that while your core facial structure, the distance between your eyes, the shape of your nose, the depth of your eye sockets, stays the same, surface level things change, and it adjusts. There's even a real-world example of this. In 2020, when everyone started wearing masks because of COVID-19, Apple released an update that made Face ID better at recognizing masked faces. It focused more on the area around your eyes. Of course, it's still more secure when it can see your full face, but the adaptability is impressive. And with every new iPhone model, the technology gets faster and more accurate. The true depth camera system has been refined, the neural engine has gotten more powerful, and the algorithms have been trained on even more data. Section 5. The competition. Who else is doing this? Now, Apple wasn't the first to try facial recognition on phones. Android manufacturers had it before Face ID launched. But, and this is a big, but most of them were using 2D facial recognition. Basically just the regular front camera looking at your face like a photo. This was hilariously easy to fool. People were unlocking phones with printed photos, with videos, even with pictures on another phone. It was more of a convenience feature than a security feature. Face ID changed the game by going 3D, and since then, other manufacturers have tried to catch up. Huawei has 3D Face Unlock. Oppo and Vivo have their versions. Samsung has something called Intelligent Scan that combines iris scanning with facial recognition. But here's the thing, most Android flagships still use fingerprint sensors as their primary biometric security, often under the display, because implementing true 3D facial recognition requires expensive hardware, that dot projector, that infrared camera, that specialized processing. It's not cheap. Apple bet big on Face ID and completely removed Touch ID from their flagship iPhones. That's confidence. So there you have it. Face ID isn't magic, it's engineering. It's 30,000 invisible dots mapping the 3D structure of your face. It's a neural network trained on 1 billion faces, making sure you're real. It's attention-aware technology that requires you to actively look at your phone, and it's constantly learning and adapting as your appearance changes. Your face is now a password, but unlike a password you can forget or a fingerprint that can be copied, your face is a living, three-dimensional, constantly moving biometric signature that's incredibly difficult to replicate. Is it perfect? No. Twins might fool it. An extremely sophisticated, expensive mask might fool it. But for everyday security, it's one of the most advanced systems we've got. And the craziest part? All of this happens in the time it takes you to blink. Technology, man. It's wild. If you learned something new today, hit that like button. Drop a comment if you've got Face ID horror stories, or if you're still team fingerprint sensor. And subscribe to Tech Underhood because we're diving deep into the tech you use every day but never think about. See you in the next one.